up until the mid to late 1980s, there were very few public figures who were openly LGBT. The Labour MP, Maureen Cahoon, had been outed in the late 1970s and sort of came out. But the really big one was, of course, Chris Smith, the Labour MP, who came out in 1984. There were a handful of pop stars, a handful of actors, but most were in the closet. And TV representations of LGBT plus people were still mostly very stereotypical, very cliched. We were the objects and butt of jokes.
There were no positive gay role models at all on television or radio, and the few people who were visibly gay men were caricatures, and if you had a lesbian character, she had to die. They always died or had a really, really miserable time.
You know, it wasn't really until people like Michael Cashman and Ian McKellen came out, along with Pam St Clements of EastEnders, that things began to change. And then, of course, in EastEnders, we had the first famous gay kiss, which created absolute outcry among the tabloids and right-wing politicians. But, you know, it happened, and that was a real groundbreaking change in terms of LGBT plus visibility in television.
It wasn't by accident that some of us noticed that when we were fighting Section 28, the only group that got real traction in the straight press and with the government was what was called the arts lobby. And that was Ian and Michael and a whole bunch of other actors. And it was also a group which brought in straight allies, straight actors and playwrights and so on who were supportive of us. And there was actually a show called Before the Act which raised funds for groups that would lose funds by Section 28 being enacted. And all sorts of people, Alan Bennett, Miriam Margolyes, people who had never made a statement about their sexuality, and some straight allies who had not, thought any of it through before, but who, it was the theatre, they'd always had gay friends. They all got involved. We knew that having some well-known people made a difference, and people like Ian had found it much more easy to get on the radio and television. They found it much more easy to talk to senior politicians. We had people on the inside in Parliament, both closeted members of Parliament but also closeted civil servants who were guiding us every inch of the way. There was a senior civil servant who really was one of the people who set up Stonewall. He should have been one of the 20, but he couldn't be publicly named at any point then, and he's dead now. His name was Douglas Slater. But the link in all of that was the thespians. So yes, we were absolutely shameless in using that in Stonewall. And by and large, people were very good about accepting that that was something that they had through nothing to do with them being lesbian or gay, but it was very useful. I mean, people forget there were 3 thespian members at the start of Stonewall. There was Michael and Ian, who everybody names. There was also Pam St Clement, who was in EastEnders. Now she was quite quiet as a member, and she left, and has not, had much to do with LGBT politics since. But she was there and she was supportive and she appeared at things, and so that was a very strong element in the early days of Stonewall. And of course, Michael is still on the stump for them.